Today we will make some item in sheet metal shop. See what is sheet metal shop? Where the items are made from sheet. Now you should know what is meant by sheet. Sheet is any item in the form of laminar form having thickness not more than 4 mm. See, sheet can be made from MS, copper, brass, aluminum. Almost all metal can be converted into sheet. But a few metals which cannot be converted into sheet. For example, bell metal. Bell metal we cannot make into a sheet because it will be a brittle one. See, usually in our shop we will be using a 24 SWG sheet metal. 24 SWG is almost is get 0.5 mm thick. We are using a galvanized iron sheet. See, galvanizing is given to iron sheet to reduce the corrosion effect. Usually galvanizing is done by dipping the item in the molten zinc. First we will discuss about the general tools used in a sheet metal shop. After that we will make a prismatic shape of item that is a rectangular tapered tray. Today we will discuss about the tools used in a sheet metal shop. The first item, as you have already studied in another class, is a steel rule for measuring the size of an item to be made or to be converted, whatever may be. This, as already told, it is marked in millimeters as well as inches. Okay. Then see, after getting the item, sometimes we may have to reduce the size of the sheet metal or cut the item, or before cutting we have to mark the item with a tool called a scriber. This is a scriber. You can see this is a pointed tool so that we will get the marking properly on the sheet metal. The method is you keep the sheet metal in a plain surface, then place a straight edge, then mark the line. See, you can see a marked line here. Can you see the line I just drawn here? I think it is visible. In order to select the sheet, usually an equipment is used. The name of the equipment is standard wire gauge. You can see a disc type item having many number of slots in the outer periphery. You can see here it is written as 1, very large gap is there, 2, 3, like that it is going, and the size of the gap going on reducing. And you can see what is written here, standard SWG. SWG means standard wire gauge. How to measure I will show you. You just insert the item to be measured in the slot. You can see it is 22, it is going freely. You can see 22. But in 23 it is a little tight, but it is going. So this is a 23 gauge galvanized iron sheet. Galvanizing is done to reduce the corrosion effect. Usually corrosion will be less for galvanized sheet, iron sheet. Okay. See, you can also use a tri-square for measuring 90 degree of any item. 90 degree. See, suppose I want to check the 90 degree of this sheet, this corner, then I have to keep the item like this. See, you can see a large gap here. That means it is not 90 degree. If it is not 90 degree, what you have to do is, if it is a very large difference is there, then you have to cut the item. Or only a small difference is there, what you can do is, you draw a line with a tri-square like this one. Then remove. It is difficult to cut a very small item of the order of about half mm. What you have to do is, you hold the item in a bench wise, then file it and reduce the size. You can file it and reduce the size, so that this angle become exactly 90 degree. That is the usual procedure. Okay. For that, we usually use a tri-square as well as a small file. Usually triangular or small flat file can be used. See, sometimes we may have to join the two sheets together. Suppose I want a large item, but only small item is available. One more item can be joined here, so that you will get a large piece. In order to make that one, usually there are 3 or 4 methods. One of the methods I will show you quickly, then I will again continue the next type of joint. Suppose you want to join the two pieces like this one. See, one of the method is by putting hole. In order to make a hole, usually a tool called punch is used. This is called a solid punch. You can see a circular item and a cylindrical item with a sharp edges. What you have to do, you make a hole here by keeping the item or a soft material like a wooden piece, and strike it, then you get a hole like this. Okay. Similar hole can be done on the other piece. See, here we have done 2 holes. Then what you have to do, you will put a rivet. This is called a rivet, one type of rivet. What you have to do, you insert the rivet through the hole. Now we can open the item from this side. From this side we can press the item with a hammer so that it is fixed. Similar hole can be done in one or 2 hole can be provided here, so that you can extend the size of the workpiece. This is one of the method. Instead of rivet, what you can use, another thing is, instead of rivet, you can use a small screws and nut, so that you can join together. That is second method. Third method is, you use a soldering iron. You might have seen the soldering iron, but here we are using a heavy duty soldering iron like this one, and using the solder you can join the material. Okay, that is the third method. The fourth method is seam joint. It is called a seam joint. In order to make a seam joint, what you have to do is, you make a curvature like this, something like this, and a similar curve on the other piece also. Then keep together, then strike from the top, then you will get a joint like this. make a U shape of about 5 mm, like this one. This side is about 5 mm. Similar on the other piece also. Then keep together. After that, you strike with a hammer. Now it is become single piece. A joint is made. But a small problem is there. If you push together with a great force, it will come off. So in order to avoid that slippage, usually another tool is used. The name of the tool is groover. You can see here there is a groove, and the width of the groove will be keeping on the joint, and we have to strike from the top. Now the both sheet will be in a same line, so that even if we are pushing, it will not come off. This type of joint is called a seam joint. Usually this type of joint is used for air duct, etc., to carry the cold air. Usually in cinema theatre, etc., you can see this type of joint in the air duct. See, I am drawing a line here. This is a glazed sheet metal. So I think, can you see the line properly? Yes. I think it may not be properly visible. See, in order to increase the visibility of the line, usually one punch mark will be done. For that, a punch like this one is used. Okay. The name of the punch is prick punch. You can see a point here. The angle of the point is in between 30 to 60 degree. Usually the punching is done on the line. Small punch mark will be done along the line, so that you can see the visibility of the line. Like this, about 15 or 10 mm away, you can mark with a prick punch. See, you can punch along the line, so that even if it is in any angle, you can assume, you can see that there is a line is going through the punch mark. Okay. That means the visibility of the line will be increased. See, in order to cut thin sheet metal, you can use a equipment called snips. See, snips is something like a scissors. It is having two blades, and a fulcrum is there, and a handle. Sometimes a spring is also provided for returning the blades in original position. I will show you how to cut the item. On the line, you keep the blade like this, then press with your hand. So you can see cutting is done. Like this you can cut. Usually you have to draw the line where you have to cut the item. This snips is meant for right-handed person. See, a right-handed person, I will tell you the difference between right-handed person's snips and left-handed person's snips. For right-handed person's snips, the item coming from bottom is coming at the top, at the right side. You can see this is at the right side. The blade of this handle is coming at the right side when I am looking from this side. This is meant for right-handed person. Usually color coding also be done for the snips. You can see this is a navy blue item, and sometimes it may be colored with yellow or red. All these are meant for right-handed person. Usually left-handed person, the orientation of the blade will be different. You can see this one, it is coming from bottom, handle item coming from bottom, and it is at the left side, blade is at the left side. This is meant for left-handed persons. This type of double lever type snips is available for right-handed person also, but the orientation of the blade will be different. Okay, this is the difference between left-hand snips and right-hand snips. Sometimes we may have to cut some curvature. For that, usually a curved snips is used. You can see this one, curved snips. So that you can cut along. First, draw the curvature with some pen or CD marking pen or something like that. Then cut along that line, so that you will get a curvature. See, in the sheet metal work, usually wooden hammer is used. Wooden hammer is called as mallet, wooden mallet. Because if you are using a metallic hammer, then what will happen is some dent mark will come over the item. Suppose I am holding the item here and striking with the hammer. Sometimes the corner of the hammer will strike on the workpiece and the beauty of the workpiece will be lost. So what I usually do is, using a wooden hammer, you can strike the, so that there should not be any hammer mark will come over the workpiece. This is the surface plate. Surface plate is a plate perfectly machined top surface. Over the top surface, usually an item called vernier height gauge is kept. You can see here, this is the main scale and this is the vernier portion, and this is the scribing jaw. This is called scribing jaw. So that we can mark a line over the workpiece. And here the main scale is graduated in mm, and vernier scale is also graduated. See, I will tell about the graduations in the vernier as well as the main scale. Here main scale, you can see it is marked in millimeters and centimeter is written. 0 is starting from here. And similarly on the vernier portion also graduation is marked. In vernier scale, 49 mm is equally divided into 50 parts. 49 mm is equally divided into 50 parts. See, how to find out the least count is 1 main scale division minus 1 vernier scale division. See, 1 main scale division is 1 mm minus 1 vernier scale division. 1 vernier scale division is 49 by 50 mm. So, least count is equal to 1 minus 49 by 50. That can be taken as 50 by 50 minus 49 by 50. That is equal to 1 by 50. So, 1 by 50 is the least count. 1 by 50 can be converted into decimal. You multiply numerator and denominator with 2. Then you will get 2 by 100. 2 by 100 is equal to 0.02. That is the least count of this equipment. Now, I will show you how to mark an item, the procedure for changing the dimension, etc. See, in order to support the workpiece, usually a item called V block is used. You can see there is something like a V, and usually the workpiece will be leaned against the V block, kept and then you can adjust the reading of the scriber. See, suppose I want to draw a line at say 50 mm. Say 50 mm. Then what you have to do? The 0 of the vernier portion is kept very near to the 50. It may be difficult to exactly position at the 50. Then what you have to do, you tighten the thumb screw of the auxiliary head. This portion is called auxiliary head and this portion is called main head. Then you tighten the auxiliary head. Then adjust the main head with the thumb screw provided here. You can see this is moving. Vernier portion is moving, isn't it? Suppose I want to correct at 49. Now it is 49 instead of 50. If you want to make 50, you just rotate it and it will come to 50. Now it is 50. Like that you can, minor adjustment can be done with the thumb screw. After that you should tighten the item so that this will not move. Okay. Then you can keep the item here and draw the line. Now it is at 50 mm. Line is at 50 mm. Okay. Suppose I want to draw another line at 20 mm, say 20 mm. What you have to do? Hold the main head here with your left hand and loosen the thumb screw of main head. Also the auxiliary head. Then move the item and keep the zero of the vernier portion very near to the required dimension. Then tighten the item. Then you can again adjust the item with the thumb screw. Then tighten this one. This is the procedure for adjusting the scriber height. So again you can draw the line. This is the usual procedure for drawing the line. Today our aim is to make a prismatic shape of like this one. This is called a tapered rectangular tray. Tapered rectangular tray. In order to make this one, first we have to draw the lines where we have to remove certain portion so that we can fold it into this shape. You can see this figure. This is the layout of the tapered rectangular tray. Layout means if you are unfolding this one and looking to the item, you will have a item like this one. The size of the sheet metal we have to use is 180 into 130 mm. See, I have already told the corners has to be corrected first using a tri-square and a file. After that you have to draw lines as given in the figure. From looking into the figure you can see first line is 10 mm from the bottom. Suppose this is the bottom line, bottom edge, then you have to draw a line at 10 mm. Not only one side, all the sides having 10 mm line. You can see this one 10 mm, this is 10 from this edge, 10 mm from this edge and 10 mm from this edge. So you can keep the 10 mm in the vernier height gauge and draw all the lines on the given workpiece. After that you have to draw another line at 25 from first drawn line or 35 from the edge. You can see here 25 plus 10, that means 35 from this edge. This line can be drawn. Similarly 35 mm from this edge you can draw this line. Also this line as well as this line. So you will be drawing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines will be there altogether. After that what you have to do is you find out the starting point of 35 mm line. This is one of the starting point, isn't it? Starting point of the 35 mm line. Similarly starting 5 mm of the line from this direction. Then join these two with a scriber, using a scriber and a steel rule. See, this is the starting point of horizontal line and this is the starting point of vertical line at 35 mm distance from the edges. 35 mm from the edges. 35 here, 35 here. This is the starting point. Join that to the starting point with a steel rule and a scriber. You can draw like this. Then that line will be cutting the 10 mm line here as well as here. Then put a 2 punch mark. Punch means a prick punch mark. You can put a prick punch mark in the cutting point. Similarly, other cutting point also. Now, the meeting point of the 35 mm line here, you can put another punch mark. So, altogether 1, 2, 3 punch marks are done. Then what you have to do is, you start cutting from the 35 mm line on the 10 mm line up to the punch mark. You start from here and end here. Similarly, start from here and end here.
Yes.
See, here there is a punch mark. Here also punch mark is there. Here also punch mark is there. What you have to do is, you have to start cutting on the 10 mm line from the edge of the sheet metal to the prick punch mark here. Similarly, from the edge of the 10 mm line to the prick punch mark here. Then also we have already marked the prick punch mark here. Now you start cutting from here to here. In order to cut the item, sometimes you may have to fold the already cut portion in the downward direction or in upward direction. Then using the snips, you can cut the item. See, I have already taken 10 mm on the vernier height gauge. That means the 10 mm is from the surface plate to the scriber point is 10 mm. Now I am drawing the line on the workpiece, 10 mm line. Not only one side, all the sides I am drawing. All the sides I have already drawn 10 mm line. Now we have to draw 25 mm from the first line or 35 mm from the edge of the workpiece. So I am taking 35 mm on the vernier height gauge. Exactly I adjust it to 35. Now this is 35 mm. Now draw all the sides with 35 mm. So altogether 8 lines were drawn. See, after cutting, this portion will be removed. It will be falling down. I told you when you start on the 10 mm up to the prick punch mark here. Similarly, from here to prick punch mark here. Then fold this portion in the upward direction and start cutting from here to the other prick punch mark. Similarly, from this point to the prick punch mark here. Then this red I have shown here as red mark, that will be falling down. Say I am going to cut the item as given in the figure. See, cut only up to the prick punch mark. Now you can cut from this side also up to prick punch mark. Now what you have to do, you fold this one into downward direction. Then insert the snips here and cut along the line up to the next prick punch mark. This side also you have to cut. For that you have to fold this tab into upward direction. Then insert the snips here, then cut the item. Now cutting is, one corner cutting is over. After that you straighten with a mallet. After cutting, you place the item over a plain surface, then strike with a mallet. Now it will become straight. Similarly, you cut all the corners like this one. We have completed the cutting of the corners as per the given drawing. Now we have to fold all the 10 mm side in one direction. In order to see the item properly, I have marked like this. You need not mark like this while doing the work. This is only to indicate the indicate where we have to fold. Now hold the item in the bench wise on the 10 mm line, exactly on the 10 mm line. Any error is there, you can adjust like this. First tighten very with less force, then adjust like this. See that the width of the jaw is less than the width of the line we have to fold. So you give equal distance in both the sides. Then tighten the vice properly. After that you keep your 3 fingers like this and put inside the bench vise. Then with your thumb you fold away from you for an angle of about 114 degree like this. You can measure it. This is the measuring item, angle gauge. It is called angle gauge, made for the particular work. You can check like this. Now it is almost okay. Now you take out and once more you do the item in the same line, so that the other end is here. Similarly, other side also. Now fold all the sides like this one. See, I have completed all the sides like this. Okay. Now what you have to do, again hold the item in the 35 mm line. While folding on the 35 mm line, it is mentioned that you have to fold only in longer sides. So you fold the item. In the 10 mm line, we have been folding the item away from you, like this. Now you have to fold towards you. At an angle of 114 degree. In order to check the 114 degree, you take out the item, then with the gauge, you can check like this. If there is no gap here, then it is 114. If any gap is there, you can again fold or unfold the item according to the requirement. Now two sides of the longer sides are we already folded. Now you have to fold the shorter side. In order to fold the shorter side, you can see it cannot be held in the bench vise because this one is less than the width of the bench vise. Then what you have to do? You have to use a stake. You can use a square stake. Yeah, just a piece of flat item like this one. You hold the item on the line like this. Then hold it in the bench vise. Check properly whether the item is exactly on the line. Adjust it properly, then tighten the item. Now, if you are pulling this side, this tab will be interfering with the other tab like here. So, what you have to do? You unfold the item downwards. Then you pull the item towards you. You will get an item like this. Similarly, you hold the other side also. You can use a mallet to do the folding properly. Now similarly fold the other side also. Fold this one to avoid the interference. And pull the item. And with a mallet you can do a small strike line. Then take out the item. Now shape is almost over. Now we have to make these sides parallel to the base. For that what you have to do is you hold the item again in the 10 mm line. In order to make the item parallel, you have to press here or hold through this line. When this line is vertical, that means this surface is vertical, then it is parallel to the base. You can see here. Now this is parallel to this base. You do all the sides like this. Now hold the hold the item in 10 mm line like this one. Then fold through the 10 mm line so that this surface is vertical. That means then only you will get these sides parallel to the base. See, now you can see all these are parallel. Now two sides are pending. That also you can fold like this. Now it is vertical. Similarly, other side also you can make it vertical. Now the size is almost become a tray shape. Now we have to lock all the four corners. For that what you have to do is, first you look into the tray. Here this tab is coming at the top of this one. You see this one is coming at the top of this one. Then you hold that portion, the item coming in the top, in the bench vise. Like this you can hold. Now press together so that there is no gap is here. You can see there is no gap is here. Then what you have to do, you using a combination player, you hold the projecting item, then hold it to downwards. When looking from the cavity of the tray, it should be in the downwards direction. Using a ball peen hammer, you can hold like. Before folding, it is better to hold with a combination player like this and after that you take out the item and give a small size. Do not give you give less force only so that it can be moved again. Then you hold in the other piece. Now we have been holding here. Now you hold on this side. That means like this one. Now again look into the corner whether any gap is there. If any gap is there, adjust it by pressing the together. Or if it is no gap, you can hold like this one and again fold in the downward direction. When you are looking from the cavity of the tray, it should be in the downward direction. Now again you hold like this one and strike give a small strike like this, then take out the item, then you can fold it, press it properly. Now one corner is over. You can see there is no gap at all here.
I will do it. Okay.
Now fold all the corners like this. And if you want to make it leak proof, what we have to do is you solder the joint with a soldering iron. Now this one is completed. All the corners are folded properly. After this one, you can verify yourself any problem is there. After that, you can write your department name. You just write the abbreviation like biomedical means BM, or civil engineering CE, biotechnology BT, then your roll number. That can be punched or can be written by a CD marker or some marker you can use.